What do plows, steam engines, and semiconductors have in common? Each of these inventions push humanity forward by triggering new eras of exponential advances in technology and society. And I think the key word here is exponential. Because when you look at all of the important human inventions ever, things seem to progress at a pretty glacial pace for thousands of years until the past maybe couple hundred years or so. So why has this progress been exponential? Can we keep the pace up? And what does it take to keep it up? I thought a quick discussion about the pace of innovation might be interesting, especially in light of recent advances in AI that make headlines every week. That pace over the past 70 years is largely described by Moore's Law. Gordon Moore, the co-founder of Intel, observed that the number of transistors on a microchip would double every 2 years, and this became the guiding principle for the entire semiconductor industry. It's been a foregone conclusion and expectation that compute power would just keep exponentially growing, and it kind of has. Moore's Law has mostly held up since it was first discussed in the 1960s, and every year leading hardware companies are releasing better chips in every way, from smaller sizes to more energy efficiency to sheer increased compute power. And every year the devices that we and consumers buy are getting better and better. It's this progress that effectively put computers in every household and mobile phones in every pocket over the past few decades. But in the physical world, exponentials eventually encounter physical limits. Moore's Law will come to an end sometime soon if it hasn't already, because components and chips can only shrink so much. It's just unlikely that transistors smaller than atoms can be physically printed. But if there's a company that's carrying the torch forward from the computer age into the so-called AI age, from Moore's Law into something new, it's clearly Nvidia right now. In fact, back in 2018, CEO Jensen Huang made clear mention of the depth of Moore's Law in his view.
The speed up that we created in the last 5 years is 25 times. Well, Moore's Law is 10 times in 5 years. Moore's Law, the miracle of laws, the law that has enabled just about every single industry and progress of science and the progress of society, was compounded over time 10x every 5 years. 10x every 5 years. Our GPUs have accelerated these molecular dynamic simulations 25x in the last 5 years. There's a new law going on. It's a supercharged law. There's a new law going on. And I think this is the future of computing.
NVIDIA's core innovation, the GPU, seems to be the new thing that's once again keeping humanity on an exponential course of progress. Now, this isn't a technical channel. I couldn't tell you exactly why that's the case or how GPUs work, but the surface level answer I'll regurgitate is that AI models just run way better on the parallel processing that GPUs offer compared to the sequential processing of CPUs that's nowhere near as efficient. Nvidia originally made GPUs to render realistic graphics for gaming use cases, but it just so happened that the same type of parallel architecture that can handle tons of small parallel tasks is exactly what AI researchers need for training and running large models. So, like Jensen mentioned in his GTC talk, Nvidia GPUs are delivering 25x more performance every 5 years across AI, graphics, and all sorts of other applications. Colloquially, some people are now calling this new pace of innovation Huang's Law, after Jensen Huang. Now again, this video is about the pace of innovation. Whether it's Moore's Law or Huang's Law or some other technologist in the future that picks up the baton, it seems like progress is inevitable. Unless civilization collapses due to war, disease, or some other extinction event, which is possible, the arc of progress continues to look steep. And with that said, I think it's worth looking backwards to get a sense of the pace of progress, because our progress as a species has been long compounding over a cosmic period of time. I'll make an attempt to draw up an abridged history lesson here. 10,000 years ago, the agricultural revolution, driven by domestication of plants and animals and invention in farming tools and techniques, allowed sustained societies to grow and for humans to specialize beyond hunting and gathering. Population centers began to emerge, and the relative permanence of societies allowed humans to develop culture, laws, and civil structure. Then, just 300 years ago, the Industrial Revolution transformed our agrarian societies into more industrial, urbanized, and globalized ones on the back of inventions like the steam engine, textile manufacturing, and harnessing of fossil fuels. So as societies stabilized from nomadic tribes to agrarian communities to urban centers, both knowledge and human population were able to compound. So many times in history, entire tribes and civilizations worth of knowledge would get wiped out. But over time, the stability of societies allowed each subsequent generation to build off one another. The world became more connected, and we gained momentum in science and technology, largely without the threat of societal collapse. Now fast forward to the past 50 years or so. Exponential advancements in software and hardware have taken us from archaic early transistors to today's hardware like Nvidia's Blackwell GPU that packs 208 billion transistors to power generative AI applications. At the end of the day though, neither Moore's Law or Huang's Law are laws of physics, they're really just names for different periods of innovation. Just as Moore's law has seen its exponential trajectory flatten, we can also assume that Huang's law will eventually flatten or get overtaken by something even greater. So maybe the names we've given these trends don't really matter in the end, so long as the progress just happens. I'll add here that I was watching a talk by Andrej Karpathy, a leading AI engineer from Tesla, OpenAI, and other places, and he describes energy efficiency, for example, as just one area that the next big thing might be completely overhauling.
Still like a massive gap in the energetic efficiency of running all this stuff. So my brain is 20 watts, roughly. Jensen was just talking at GTC about the massive supercomputers that they're going to be building now. The numbers are in megawatts, right? And so maybe you don't need all that to run like a brain. I don't know how much you need exactly, but I think it's safe to say we're probably off by a factor of 1,000 to like 1,000,000, somewhere there, in terms of like the efficiency of running these models.
Wherever innovation happens, we've clearly come a long way. It's hard to predict where humanity will be, but God forbid any catastrophic societal setback, it might be safe to say that we'll continue exponentially marching forward. And I'll add one more half-baked parting thought. Why does all this matter? I mean, beyond the technical specs, beyond the ones and zeros, and the actual technology, why does it matter at a societal level for the individual person? An argument can be made that the catalyst that pulled Homo sapiens out of the caves, out of nomadic tribes, and out of long stretches of war and famine is the advance of technology. And clearly, through each technological leap, everything about human societies and culture radically change. So while the core societal building blocks like rule of law and religion might be constant for the most part, everything built on top of that, from the way we work and connect to how we learn and have fun, may completely change as a result of where technology leads us. So as AI takes off and as new technologies inevitably come to rise, it'll be important to track their effects on society as a whole beyond just the technical aspect. So maybe there's something there to think about. Anyways, I'll wrap here. Thanks for watching.
So we saw that if we could reduce the marginal cost of computing down to approximately zero, we might use it to do something insanely amazing. Large language models. To literally extract all of digital human knowledge from the internet and put it into a computer and let it go figure out what the knowledge is. That idea of scraping the entire internet and putting it in one computer and let the computer figure out what the program is an insane concept. But you wouldn't ever consider doing it unless the marginal cost of computing was zero.